Don in London, hello. It's September the 24th, bright sunny morning here in London, UK. September the 24th, first day of autumn, and we're going to have high temperatures next week. Well, hopefully I won't have a high temperature next week, and my videos are all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. In my case, my substance was alcohol. Alcoholic in recovery now, one day at a time. And my behaviour could be equally addictive towards people, places and things. Being in the right place with the right people, doing the right things, having the right things, and always wanting the right things. So I could fit in and be a part of society, be a contributing person to society. I guess that was part of it. But also just simply wanting to look right, even if I didn't feel right. To be right, I didn't know how to do that too well. So when I found that alcohol would take the edge off me, take the edge off life, take the edge off being with people, places and things, fix me enough to find joy, happiness, as much as sadness and distraught at the way life was. I can remember clearly in 1981 I think it was, or earlier, a change in the political regime in the UK made me feel like the world was going to go to pot. Well, some people were taking pot already, and they were out of it, but that's just a different thing. But life seemed like it was going to be a struggle, and to be enslaved in a system which just took from me and gave nothing back. My neighbour's dog, Wobble, going out for a walk, I hope, to work off its woofs. It's been woofing a lot this last week, and it doesn't really bother me particularly unless I turn my TV down and I can hear them, the woofing dog and the cross person who owns it. Anyway, that's beside the point. This is about recovery. Well, actually that's about recovery too. Live and let live. Let people live the way they are, and don't criticise them one bit. Simply, if I do criticise them, I'm engaging them in my life, when I'm probably better off not including them in my life at all, and wearing earplugs when necessary, or turning down my TV so I don't upset other neighbours, trying to drown out the dog. Different way of looking at the world, really. It's about my life being peaceful and serene when it can be. Excuse me. And enjoying it when I can. So the afflictions, if you like, of addiction, trying to be right, thinking I'm right, thinking I know better, not really aware of all the consequences and damage done over the years by what alcohol was doing, which was fixing my feelings normally at the extremes of happy, sad, love, hate, and not knowing there was an awful lot in the middle where life actually is worth cherishing, and the people in life are worth cherishing as well. Indeed, holding grudges will keep me in the malady of addiction, thinking I'm right. And when I stop judging people and know that maybe I only know what is right for me on my journey in life these days, one day at a time, I'm better off. So how did I learn all this stuff? Well, I knew it already, but somehow life and living distorted my outlook and put me under extreme pressure to fit in when I didn't feel like it, or I just wanted to look right so you'd leave me alone, or I wanted to look right so you would include me in your life. Why didn't I realise I could get a better balance without a drink inside me? Well, drink was always a reward, and it offered the ultimate oblivion from reality, the things I couldn't change. Reality. The reality of me, the life I was leading, the careers which went careering all over the place, because I didn't know how to say no to what was not that good for me. I just thought I had to do it to fit in. So a bit of a lost soul, really, and I guess that's true of a lot of people who find recovery. It's about redemption and getting a life back, and I've got a lot of help on a daily basis from people who know and understand what it's like to be in recovery. So along the way, family, friends, anyone tried to help me if they thought they could, and then realised they couldn't, because I couldn't help myself. And what I didn't realise is if I couldn't fix myself, why weren't people able to fix me for me? Somebody said it was an inside job, and I thought, what the hell does that mean? I just don't understand where they're coming from or what they're getting at. And it was only when I encountered the Fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, the very last place on the planet I thought I'd end up being, or even joining something. My God, what a doubtful experience that was going to be. And as somebody who had programmed themselves to be a hardened drinker, to make life possible and work at things which I didn't really like, although I didn't know I didn't really like until I stopped doing them. I thought I could fix anything and anyone, anywhere, at any time, if I was just given enough time to do it. But with addiction, I couldn't fix myself. I didn't know how to. I had no toolkit, no understanding of my feelings, no understanding of pretty much anything. So when AA came along in my life, or I encountered AA, it wasn't exactly, thank God for that. It was, oh no, here are a bunch of people who don't drink anymore and are inviting me to be a part of their fellowship. Just an invitation, and it's up to me. And what I make of fellowship is up to me as well, as it is for them. And that's somewhat difficult to understand when life is tormenting beyond belief. Anyway, the moment of clarity for me was simple. I can't do this on my own. Life couldn't get any worse, or so I thought, but it did, as recovery started to happen. And it was a bumpy ride to start with. But without AA, I don't know what I would have done. And I really don't know if anybody outside the fellowship would have had the perseverance, the time, or the inclination. And what I found in fellowship is full of people, unique and authentic, with one similarity. So I share a lot about AA in these videos and the 12-step program, which helps me daily. And I'm just one voice. All I know is it's the many voices in the fellowship which keep us safe and sound. So if we have many people who we can relate to on a daily basis, as and when we choose, and it's personal choice always, freedom to choose how we live, how we engage, how we are included, how we are part of something again. So fellowship is my background, if you like, my foundation for living life free to be human, a human being myself as much as I can today. So, how does fellowship help me? Well, in these videos I share the AA preamble on this little card, and inside it has the 12 steps and 12 traditions. 12 steps about me being open, honest and willing to change, and how to go about that. It's not dogma. The 12 steps work differently for everyone. No single person can say these are how it works today, so follow me. All they can share is the similarities, or we can listen for the similarities when people share their story. And the 12 traditions, which is about keeping fellowship safe for everyone, around unity, service and recovery. And that's most important. Without a fellowship, where on earth would I be? Well, probably I would have enough friends who understand what I'm going through, but at the same time, without fellowship, there is no real foundation, no place to go to, no place to meet. And as I say, it's the many voices that we hear in the fellowship. What we see is what we get. It's attraction rather than promotion. So attracted to the life stories of other people. If I tried to promote AA to you, I would suggest I can fix you, and I can't. I'm powerless over what you do in your life. So once we understand the basics, that we are powerless over people, places and things, as well as alcohol, and if we look for the similarities in sobriety, from those who are living sober, or just new to it, or very old towards it, from a few hours sober to a few decades sober in some cases. We learn and hear similarities, and then we can decide what we do with our 12 steps as individuals. So the message is ongoing, sometimes very potent and important because we feel connected, and sometimes weak, impotent, and not what we want to see or hear or feel. It can be alien to us. So this can happen in one meeting. AA is as good as the day on which you go, each and every day, or as often as you feel is required, to find sobriety and keep it, and then give it to other people. So what does AA say? In the AA preamble shared at every meeting, and this is so important to me, without it, I know that a lot of us over the years probably forgot why we say the preamble at the beginning of every meeting. And one of my meetings recently is sort of edited it down to one paragraph. I think it was a 2-page large print version, but the second page of the print version used in that meeting seems to be absent. Anyway, here is the full preamble with a little bit of addition from me, why it's important to me. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. So it's about sharing experience, strength and hope with each other, so we may recover one day at a time. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. So that's the only requirement, a desire to stop. And believe you me, in early days, I had no desire either way. I just thought, I'm dying, and I've been in intensive care more than once. I would prefer not to go back, and I can't live this life with alcohol in me. So a desire to stop is as simply as it is. So there are no rules, laws or regulations to govern you as an individual coming into AA. You decide how you want to behave, and it's your choice, and you may be included or excluded by your behaviour. But it's unifying, because if you can't be told what to do, and you can't tell anyone else what to do, it's frustrating if you're a control freak, and completely wonderful if you just want everyone to get on with whatever way sober works for them, but keep on listening to the similarities. There are no dues or fees for AA membership, free as you walk in the door. But if you can afford to help contribute to rent, excuse me, I've got bad slip discs. If you can afford to pay a little bit towards rent, tea, coffee, biscuits and literature, so we have something of substance, all well and good. But if you haven't got the money, don't do what I did. I had very little money to live off, but I still kept on putting my money into the hat, but then eating more biscuits than were good for me. That's just me. And it was guilt and shame about not being good enough to be an alcoholic in recovery. How ironic is that? AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. But you can do all of those things. But AA doesn't. It's only there for one thing, a desire to stop drinking and share a message, because there is a primary purpose, which reads as this. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So the good news in AA, you will hear everybody else's outlook on life. The bad news is some people will try and impose it on you. But if you are like most people in recovery, you are as cantankerous, stubborn, defiant as them. And you will make your own mind up what is right for you. So we listen for the similarities and not the differences. We keep all our affiliations and outlooks which are healthy for us, and we learn how to let go of those things which are not so healthy for us, like addiction. Let go old behaviour, so new behaviour can emerge with the 12-step program. 12 life principles to keep us safe on a one-day basis. They only work when we remind ourselves of them. Or like anything else we learn, maybe pass an exam, we then need to develop skills. So we might learn the 12 steps intellectually or with our thinking ability, but do we put them into practice? And daily practice keeps us sober, and never perfectly sober, in the sense of there is always the danger we can slide back if we forget what is good for us. And I try and go to meetings as regularly as possible, but this week has been a bit unfortunate. I hurt my back, so the 2 slip discs are very aggravated and the trapped nerve is definitely trapped. So that then gives me left foot drop, awkward walking and pain all over. So I'm smiling about it because I know what's happening. So I want to trek off to a meeting in an hour and a half, but I know it's silly to do that. I need to stay put and try for the 9 o'clock tonight. And I hope I get there, but if I don't, I will keep in touch with people by phone, text, email, social networks. That's how it works for me. So I don't isolate. I can have my solitude and be happy with it, but I don't need isolate and then get unhappy with the world because I can't get out, even if I keep shuffling about to try and get comfortable. So that's how AA is. The AA preamble is simply look for the similarities, a desire to stop. No one's going to tell you what to do, and if they do tell you what to do, you can say no in whatever language is appropriate. But the consequences of not knowing how to be sober mean denial continues, and it's a living death as well as a death sentence. Death arrives earlier if we keep on drinking, even though we've been pickled for years and remained upright some of the time. Alcohol shortens life. If it's used to excess, the organs fail, and the one which counts most is our brain. That will fail us, and wet brain is not something pleasant to see. Seen less often in fellowship. That's because those who have wet brains have often been put into asylums where they won't come out, and it's beyond stubbornness and defiance when we can't stop and we see life is so desolate that we just keep on going. That is a tragedy, but hopelessness and heartbreak will kill most people faster than anything. So what have the daily reflections for today in this book behind me? It's behind me, this one, daily reflections, 1 page a day. So I've sort of followed that through with my own daily reflections, which I'll share as well. So September, 12-step program, 12 traditions to hold the fellowship together, 1 step and 1 tradition per month. And step 9 for September, 9th month, 9th step. So all the previous months, 1 step a month, 1 tradition a month. Just read them out as they are. Step 9 for September for me, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. So that's the thing about making, this is the final stage of life story and making restitution, if you like, and then switching on to daily step 10s, which are about what disturbed me today, what was my part in it, did I make it hard and difficult for myself and other people, and what am I grateful for. That's next month, October, which is not too far away. So the amends and how to do them is in the 12 steps and 12 traditions, another book which is behind me, I think. Yes, it's next to the AA big book, which is there, and next to it is a purple copy of the 12 steps and 12 traditions. So they're like textbooks in a way, but they're storybooks as well. They tell the story of who we are and how to keep well. And the tradition 9 is about, as such, AA as such, that's Alcoholics Anonymous, or never be organised. In other words, organised in conventional terms like you might find another organisation with leaders, administrators, instructing and telling. We don't have that, we have the opposite. Ought never be organised, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. So everybody's a trusted servant in AA with the opportunity to express their opinions, beliefs and whatever. in terms of fellowship and what it means and what might make it better or worse, depending on your point of view. But it's about each group utilising its democratic understanding of sharing opinions and beliefs to make recommendations which may affect the whole of fellowship. So it's about levelness. And just because we don't get our own way about how a group works, that is, Don makes the tea, Claire is the chairperson or the secretary, John X is the treasurer or whatever. These are voted positions as trusted servants, and my favourite position has always been tea maker or greeter on the door, because I get to meet everybody and I'm a social animal most of the time, and that's how it works for me. So step 9 and tradition 9, very important, making the amends on a personal level in the steps where we can without doing further harm, keeping our side of getting our side of the street clean, but not digging up other people's side of the street in order to make us feel better, or expecting anything back when we do make amends or restitution. We never know how that's going to turn out, but it's best done with consultation from somebody who's done it, or from the many people who have done it, because we have step meetings as well as general meetings, you name it. We have a meeting for every type of thing, or every type of inclination and outlook. All AA, all different, but with one similarity, a desire to stop drinking and share a message with others that it's possible to live life sober and free choice, based on life, not on fantasy. And I emphasise that, life on life's terms, not the fantasy of what we might imagine it ought to be, just as life is. So living life on life's terms, acceptance of now and me in it, or acceptance of me and life as it is. Today, in the AA Daily Reflections, it's about vigilance. In other words, keeping a weather eye to what's going on. Vigilance. We have seen the truth demonstrated again and again. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Commencing to drink after a period of sobriety, we are in a short time as bad as ever, because we're in a rush, or I was when I did this, in my early days of trying to find out what AA was and how it could help me. I used to go to meetings and then go to the pub, angry, resentful, and full of crap, because I didn't share. I just shared how horrible life was, and a drink gave me oblivion. But every time I did it, I just had to drink faster to find oblivion, so I wasn't patient in my drinking at all. I just drank to oblivion, hoped I would fall unconscious at home or on the park bench, which happened to be handy, and see what would happen next. In other words, keep on drinking. So we are in a short time as bad as ever, or worse. If we are planning to stop drinking, there must be no reservation of any kind, or any lurking notion that someday we will be immune to alcohol. And that comes from the Big Blue Book, which I just pointed out on the shelf behind me. But it's in the 12th, this one here, the Daily Reflections, is where it comes for this day, 24th of September. And it goes on to say, today I'm an alcoholic, tomorrow will be no different. Tomorrow will be no different, that's okay. But I'll be different. My alcoholism lives within me now and forever. I must never forget what I am. Alcohol will surely kill me if I fail to recognise and acknowledge my disease on a daily basis. So it's saying, yes, I am an alcoholic, and thank God I am, and know what to do. I am not playing a game in which a loss is a temporary setback. I'm dealing with my disease, for which there is no cure, only daily acceptance and vigilance. Daily acceptance means it's okay to be me, but I've got a lot to do to keep well, because the truth is, the longer we are alive, the more open we are to other ailments as well. So I've copped for a few along the way as well, and they're all part of me. It's all part of my acceptance. So yes, I am this. This is me as I am today. So I ask myself, how am I feeling? Painful today physically, in my head, pretty much connected to the world and people I love. So that's a good sign. And black dog, as it's often called, depression, is not in the lowest ebb, and hasn't been for a little while, and I haven't been stuck in it in the deep, deep dark, desolate places for quite a while, which often means it's due for a recurrence. A bit like a volcano, really. You never know when it's going to erupt. But if I'm aware of how I'm feeling, and knowing that isolation will kill me more than anything, I need be more mobile and get out and be in the company of people who I can sit with, even when it's horrible. I didn't say it was going to be wine and roses. In fact, no wine, no roses often. Well, no wine forever, except, yeah, I'll leave it there. Anyway, some of my thoughts this morning, and also sharing with other people. This morning, it's a strange feeling. For years, my intellect, my thinking, informed me how much I understood the diagnosis of anxiety and depression, which is all part of me. Kept on wearing my brave face and was lost in self-analysis for a long time. That is, I kept on going over and over my condition rather than just accepting it. I am me with multi-diagnosis conditions. So, excuse me, acceptance is just as it is, with all the other stuff that goes on, emotional, physical. Accepting me as me helped a great deal. Without measures and without needing to be self-combative, in other words, challenging and fighting myself to be well, when clearly I'm not. I'm not giving myself enough time to heal. Or self-critical, and without needing to be self-combative or self-critical, I am me. And once I understand who I am and where I am, then I can do a bit of thinking about, or ask for help. And then no self-justification either. I behaved that way because I was depressed. Actually, self-justification doesn't help me or anyone else. But the consequences are that if I'm not well, I can just say, if somebody says, "How are you?" I say, "I'm not well." And interestingly, I did this with someone who was asking, just as a common courtesy, in an email, "How are you?" And I and then said 5 sentences of something which I need take notice of. So I wrote back saying, "Thank you, I'm not well," and then gave 5 sentences about constructively what I could do. What was the reply? No reply. Did I expect one? No. So, that's life. People ask us how we are, and if we tell them we're not well, then they can choose to ignore it and get down to whatever it is they want to talk about, which is often the case within fellowship, because we are not only self-aware, we can be a little bit self-obsessed. Speaking from my own experience of me. So, I don't need to, fight myself. I don't need to be self-critical or try and justify diagnoses which have been made, or clinical conditions which are beyond my control. That doesn't mean I can't manage enough to deal with them, because some of them are manageable to an extent. But I do need help around those things, I know that. And now I know I cannot control my feelings, because I don't control. When I ask myself, how am I feeling in the morning? Extreme physical pain. How am I feeling, why, and what to do? Whatever my feelings are, I can then deal with today as it is, not as I imagine it is supposed to be, or how I am supposed to be today. So there is no pushing myself or pressing myself into a shape which is predetermined by my idea of what I'm supposed to be to you. I find out who I am and then try and do the best I can with what I've got. And there are good, bad and indifferent days, it's true. Life isn't going to become a bed of roses. Forget the wine, just a bed of roses. It won't be like that. When I say that, I always remember that film American Beauty. What a wonderful film that was, about internal, external beauty of life, and all those red rose petals. This morning I felt great physical pain, which is true of today, and my emotional feelings, Well, pacing myself physically so I don't push myself into frustration and a downward spiral. So I could try and push myself into thinking my way into a better frame of mind, or impacting on my feelings in a positive way. Well, actually, accepting the physical limitations mean I don't pressurize myself into pushing beyond the pale, pushing beyond reality. And one of the things I know, powerless over black dog, which is another name for clinical depression, try for inclusion as the cycle moves along. So depression goes through all the different cycles from agitation, frustration, anger, depression, and then moving along into a more quiet phase where life seems to tick over pretty well. So try for inclusion as the cycle moves along, and then find inclusion with people as and when. So inclusion with people is good. It helps me deal with life on life's terms, no matter what is going on, good, bad or indifferent, and that's what works for me. But if I try and push it one way or another, because I want to be well, I want to be this, I want to be that, wants will kill me, because it kills my spirit living in the moment of now. Wants are about the future. So when I say often needs met, wants forgotten, if my needs are met in the moment of now, wants aren't all that important. And your wants change over life. So I wanted to be married, I wanted to have a family, I wanted to have children, and I wanted the ideal career, and I got it all the wrong way around and upside down. So I got the career, and I careered all over the place, drank myself silly, and never got to the place of needs met, wife, family, all the trappings, if you like, which might have helped me and my sanity. But then we don't all fit any mould of life, really. Trying to fit in is a silly thing, because if we're trying to fit in, we're not fitting in. It's better to be ourselves, accept the way we are today, and if we fit, we fit, and if we don't, we move on, or people move along as well. We don't need to hold on to anything, because if we hold on, we're holding on to the past, not the present. Life happens now, change happens now. That's what I know. And we can keep on making free choices. Some will work out and some won't. All good. Without a drink inside me. So for now, that's it. 24th of September. This Serenity Prayer, which is on the back of that card. So the AA preamble, what you hear at the beginning of the meeting. Stuff about what you hear in meetings, the 12 steps, life stories, and the 12 traditions which keep the whole thing, the shebang together. And then we all end on the Serenity Prayer, which has this word God in it, and so do these steps of the program. So, agnostic, atheist or believer, what counts is the wisdom of the many and the voices of the many, and not just one voice, not my voice. It's the many voices, the similarities. So the power greater than me is always the wisdom of people. And as I've learned the wisdom from people within the fellowship, so the wisdom, the obvious wisdom of life, from anyone and everyone, from the man who sweeps the street outside my flat, has great wisdom on life. Yet if I judge him as a road sweeper, and that's all he is, what a misinformed person I remain in my own judgment. I might take notice of the Prime Minister of the UK. If he weren't the current incumbent, we will have our views and beliefs. But that's an aside. That's me in my life. What's important in sobriety is knowing what's going to make the difference on a daily basis, is the wisdom learned. So this Serenity Prayer to God or good conscience, what I can do, I can change me, my opinions and outlook. What I cannot do is change your opinions and views and outlooks and opinions. That's it. Outlooks. But the wisdom is knowing the difference, and acceptance of knowing the difference. So can do, change me, can't do, change you. Wisdom learned every moment of the day when I'm interacting and part of something. And that meditation at any time of day, can do, can't do, can change me, can't change you, wisdom. It's wisdom when I know that. I can walk away around, not through, the issues, or participate and challenge as is appropriate. But I don't want to bend other people to my opinion and view. They've got to find it out for themselves what works for them, and I need to value their own personal judgment on their own situation. So judge not lest you be judged, it's often said, and it applies to every school of wisdom. If you're judging other people, you're not particularly aware of what you're doing yourself, or the criticism which is required, and personal prejudice which is required to keep on doing that. So what a relief to find a serenity prayer which is to God or in good conscience, and it goes like this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Can change me, can't change you, wisdom, in the moment and just for today, with a great big platter on my doorstep. More tomorrow.